What's happening? This your motherfucking boy, King Known Uncensored, and we are here to bring up the NBA standings as they are forever changing. You know, the NBA playoffs are going to be probably some of the most exciting playoffs we've had in a while, even though I say that stupid ass shit every goddamn year, and it turns out to be less exciting than I think. Last year wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. Because, you know, we got new champions, you know what I mean? Like the Celtics, that group had never won a championship before. I mean, you know. I think Drew Holiday won a championship, if I'm not mistaken, with the Milwaukee Bucks. But that was the only guy that had won before. Everybody else hadn't. So, yeah, let's take a look at the Eastern Conference standings. I don't know, guys. I mean, I want to talk about the standings, but they're not decided yet. So I want to talk about the East first. It seems like 1 through 10 is set in stone, meaning that, you know, these 10 teams currently as they are listed are going to be the ones that's going to be playing for the championship. Now, the Toronto Raptors, they're actually trying to make it. But unfortunately, I honestly don't think that they're going to make it. You know, it's 6 games left and they're 6 games behind. Chicago will have to have a complete meltdown. And I highly doubt that that's going to happen because, you know, Chicago is only 2 games behind the 8th seed. Meaning that they would they will have to play 2 play-in games for sure. Maybe, maybe not. They could play 1 if they beat the 7th seed, whoever it is, at that particular time. So that's why I say this shit ain't over. If you look at the play-in, we're not even going to talk about the top dogs right now. Let's look at 7 through 10. Look at how close 7 through 10 is. You go on a 3-game losing streak. You go on a 4-game losing streak. You go on a 5-game losing streak. You could be 10th. The Magic could fall to 10th. The Hawks, Heat, Bulls, all could fall to 10. We don't even know if the Hawks are going to tie the Magic. The Magic were 7th last year, and they put up a hell of a fight against the Cleveland Cavaliers as we know them now. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. Miami's hot right now. They've won 6 straight after losing, I think it was, 9 or 10 straight? So, we honestly do not know for sure where this will end up. But if it were to start today, the Magic will play the Hawks. If I had a suggestion about that, I don't know, guys. That'd be a good game, not gonna lie. But if I were a betting man, I would bet on Orlando to win that game, to secure the number 7 seed. Because Orlando, I don't know, is Jalen Suggs coming back? Like, I don't know, guys. It doesn't look like he is. So that plays a role. But however, Anthony Black has played well in his place. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is a 2-time NBA champion. You know what I'm saying? That coupled with Wagner and Banchero. Meanwhile, Atlanta has Trae Young. Great. But they got, you know, the rookie Ricochet, who put up his career high a couple of days ago, which I didn't know even happened. You know, I had to find out on my own that happened. And that just shows you how bad, you know, these dudes that claim that they know news and do news and everything, they overlooking the number 1 overall pick, dropping, I think it was 36. But anyway, back to Atlanta. They're without, their second best player, you could say, in Jalen Johnson. That hurts. So I'm not sure about Atlanta. I mean, they do have Dyson Daniels, which I view as a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Hint, hint, more on that later. Oh, boy, that's tough. I don't know. But I would go with Orlando winning that game. Because I trust Paolo Banchero more than I trust Trae Young and a bunch of dudes that are unproven. Even though back in the day, Trae Young did make it to the conference finals with a team that was similar to this. But, I don't think they can do that shit without Jalen Johnson. That's the key factor here. So I would say Orlando would be would be 7th, and the Hawks would have to play for their life in that second playing game. But Miami and Chicago would go to double overtime. I promise you. That would be an ugly game. But if I were a betting man, as hot as Miami is, I'm going to roll with Miami, but Chicago is going to push them 2 overtimes. So, yeah. Yeah, that would be a tough-ass game for both teams. I see a double overtime thriller, for sure. And if you're a betting man like I'm a betting man, go for overs on everything for that game. It's going to be a shootout. Or go with your favorite type of parlays on that one, because that's going to be tough. But yeah, I would pick Miami. And then Hawks and the Heat. For all of it, man, for all the marbles, I'm going with Miami to get the 8th seed overall. But unfortunately, this would be back-to-back years. These motherfuckers is 8th. Sheesh. That's a tough spot to be in. Right now, the 5 and 6 seed is not even decided, right? Because, okay, Milwaukee fall off. Milwaukee not going to fall off that far, even without Damian Lillard. So let's get that very clear. Even though there's no timetable on his return. So you got Milwaukee, seemingly they're going to be comfortable in that 6th spot. I don't think Orlando or the Hawks, Heat, or the Bulls are going to catch them. So I think that it's safe to say that Knicks and Bucks are going to be the matchup. So I could give a little preview, but I'm not going to give away like who's going to win the series and what. Oh no, my brother, you're going to have to wait on that. What I can say is it's not going to look good for Milwaukee, even though they're going to keep it entertaining. But the momentum shifts towards the Knicks. The Knicks are more healthy. Bucks, Giannis' superstar ability, that could only last one round. No diddy. Like, that could only last for so long until a team that's a little bit more war ready. I mean, no disrespect to the New York Knicks, but you can punk the Knicks. Now, Jalen Brunson's tough. He's not going to be 100% though. That's another problem for the Knicks. That makes the Bucks, the Bucks got more of a shot in this series than even maybe against a Pacer team. And that would be the second time the Bucks would play the Pacers. And they're not healthy. But yeah, Bucks and Knicks would be a great series, though. It would be really close. I'm not going to give away who will win, but I'm just saying both teams have their advantages. The Knicks have their full team. Brunson's definitely going to be back by the playoffs. The percentage of what he is will be to be determined. But anyway, looks like the Celtics number 2 is secure. I think they'll be number 2. They'll play the winner of the Magic and Hawks. The Celtics, I ain't gonna lie. I hate to give it away. Celtics would beat the dog shit out of Orlando. Orlando, Paolo and Franz can only get you so far in that series. Now, not to say that Orlando's not going to be competitive, but that Celtics team, I don't see Orlando having a shot in hell. Atlanta, and that's a guy. Yeah, shit. Get the brooms out for that one. Get the brooms out. Ain't no gentleman, ain't no nothing. Trae Young, pad them stats up, them playoff stats up. Shit. Last time I seen the Hawks and the Celtics go against each other, Trae Young got locked up. Last time that I checked. Last time that I seen him. I remember seeing Trae Young getting locked up by the Heat, too. So I don't believe in him in that series at all, if it were to happen that way. Miami either. I say, or the Heat. Like, Heat will put up a fight, but that's a gentleman's boy. I can see Miami getting one at home, but that's a gentleman boy. Pacers and Pistons, I mean, it's the battle for home court. Pacers, can they get the 3 spot? Sure. They could fall to 4, which sets up Knicks and Pistons. That'd be a great series. Pacers and Pistons. Pistons could beat them. Even though they've been whooping our ass as of late, Pistons could beat the Pacers, in my opinion. If that series were to go down, Pistons could beat these dudes in 6 or 7 games, but the Pacers have more experience. So, of course, a lot of the people are going to go with the Pacers because of their experience of being in the conference finals as a unit. And then you got a healthy Benedict Mathurin this year. That helps the situation. But the Pistons, Cade Cunningham has become a star, borderline superstar, if not a superstar player in the league. His health is our main concern. He's been out the last 6 or 7 games, and Pistons are trying to protect their investment so that he could be ready for the playoffs, so he could be 100% healthy. And that way, we could compete against anybody in this Eastern Conference. I don't think we could beat the Cavs or the Celtics, but I think the Pistons are capable of beating any one of these teams in a 7-game series, not named the Cavs or the Celtics. That's just my opinion. But it's crazy that the Sixers are eliminated. That is wild. I never thought of my wildest dreams. I thought that their record would be the reverse. I thought they'd be 53-23, not 23-53. Yeah, big disappointment. Now let's move on to the more exciting conference. Now the Western Conference, hey man, Phoenix is still hovering around that 10 spot. Sacramento is in danger of missing the playoffs. You would have thought that. Honestly, bro, LaVine isn't an upgrade from Fox. LaVine was just a contract that Sacramento decided to take. And then, the fact that he's familiar with DeRozan also helped the trade go down. So you basically got the Chicago Kings competing for that final spot. Like the Suns are a game behind, but no Kevin Durant. Devin Booker's stats are going to go crazy, of course. But can he will this team? And to be honest, I do not believe so. 6 games left, though. Portland Trailblazers are not eliminated yet. San Antonio might be out of it for sure, but the Suns and Blazers are very much well alive and could overtake the Kings because they're that fucking good. Kevin Durant being out a week, that hurts Phoenix's chances. Dallas Mavericks, they're pretty much, I thought they were out of it for sure, but they're not. They're not. They're in there. They're in there like swimwear. You feel me? AD has put a new confidence into this team, and AD is playing like he's got a lot to prove, and he does. He has to prove that he is the number 1 guy. He can be that dude. And he can get these dudes out the play-in. Mavericks are capable. I don't know, man. I think the loss of Kyrie's just going to be too much. I don't know if they're going to make it out. But if it were to begin today, Mavericks and Kings, I would take Dallas. Crazy as it sounds, I love Sacramento. I love betting my personal money on Sacramento. But I would have the Mavericks money line in this one. Mavericks are hot. Sacramento is either hot, very hot, or very cold. They could be an offensive powerhouse, but that defensive end of the ball is where they're lacking. Dallas has that defense. Dallas still has P.J. Washington. I mean, there's no word on whether Gafford is going to be back or whether Lively's going to be back. I think Lively might be back by the play-in. I don't know about Gafford, though. Haven't heard any word on him. But the guys that they got now, they can compete. Spencer Dinwiddie can score. Max Christie can play, even though he's inconsistent. He can still play. Klay Thompson's inconsistent, but he is very confident about Anthony Davis. So, I would probably choose Dallas in this matchup. I don't think Domantas Sabonis, even though Domantas Sabonis has had previous success against AD, this is a different AD we see. This is a different AD we see. You understand what I'm saying? It's a different guy. This ain't the injury-prone AD that's LeBron's underling anymore. This is a guy, this is my team. So, yeah, I'm rolling with Dallas on that. Despite Sabonis' success previously against him. But that was when AD was a Laker. This is AD the Maverick. Let me get back to it. But, yeah, man. So, let's talk about this three-way tie between the Wolves, Clippers, and Grizzlies. So, it's clear that the Timberwolves own the tiebreaker. I'm wondering what if the Golden State Warriors were to tie that record, and who would really own the tiebreaker for real between these three? Because that shit is real close. Real close. Like, this shit is crazy, my boy. Like, golly. That's a dogfight. It really is. Then you got, everybody's out chasing the number 2 slot, which is owned by the Rockets. The Rockets, though, it seems like these guys are very comfortable at number 2, because you got to think about it. They are 3 games ahead of the Lakers that are, they're 3 games ahead of Los Angeles. And they went on a 9-game win streak, and they ended up winning a game after that loss against Los Angeles. Because, they cheat for LA. LA really should not be here. I ain't gonna lie to you. But you know how they do. You know how Blitz the League does it. Their baby boy LeBron got to be in contention, got to be in the conversation, got to make the playoffs, or the ratings going to go down. But, fate as it has it, though, the ratings are down when he there. So what that tell you? But, yeah, man, got to have they baby boy in there. But it's whatever. So, you got to question, can the Lakers catch the Rockets? Sure, they got 6 games, of course. They could get that number 2 seed. But do you want what's waiting for you at the number 2 seed? You see, I don't know. Like, as it currently stands, they would face the Timberwolves. That's a tough matchup. I wouldn't pick LA in that matchup. Even though they're going to try everything in the world to rob the Minnesota Timberwolves with the referees. If y'all don't see the hypocrisy that they clearly cheat for the Lakers by, giving the Lakers more free throws than everybody else, especially when they play them. All you got to do, check the points in the paint and check the amount of free throws. That'll show you that it's obvious what they do for the Lakers. But in order to overcome that, you gotta foul less. That's number 1. And you gotta make 3-pointers. That's all you gotta do to counteract that. But anyway, back to more serious business. The Nuggets are still gunning for the number 2 spot, but they can get the number 3 spot over the Lakers. But the question is, will that happen, though? And that's my thing about it. Anything is possible. Nothing is really decided here, except the fact that OKC will be number 1. Everybody else is 2 through 8 is undecided because there's still 6 games left, and the Rockets only own 5.5 game lead over seeds 6 through 8. So anything can happen. That's what makes it scary. But let's get to the real shit though. Like if it were to begin today, Mavericks and Kings, I told y'all I would go with AD and them. Clippers and Grizzlies, I didn't talk about on who would win that game. Ooh, I don't know, guys. That is very sticky. Very sticky. If I'm going on trajectory, I'm going with the Clippers in that game to secure the 7th seed and go against the Rockets. And I would have Grizzlies go against the Mavericks for do or die. But as crazy as it sounds, I'm going to roll with the Grizzlies in the do or die matchup over the Mavs. I think that Anthony Davis sweepstakes is going to run out, despite AD going to have a good game. Definitely looking at 30 and 12. Clay might have some. I don't know. Clay seems to not show up in these important games. You got to factor that in. History shows that Clay is going to fold in that game. So that's why I pick the Grizzlies over the Dallas Mavericks for that final 8 spot. So it looks like everything stays the same. Thunder and Grizzlies, man. Shit. That'd be a fun series, but the Grizzlies won't last that long. I can see I don't see a way where the Grizzlies could defeat OKC. Rockets and Clippers, ooh, that could go either way. There's a scenario where both teams could win. I mean, the Clippers have Kawhi Leonard, a healthy Kawhi Leonard, knock on wood, you know? You know how Kawhi get. It's always something with him, man. He could never get back to where he was on the Raptors. The Kawhi Leonard on the Raptors. That's what we've been waiting on. Everybody's been waiting to see, like, this nigga still got it or not. Only time will tell. If you look at, that could go either way. I think that's gonna be a 7-game series. I'll tell you later on who am I going to be in favor of. But the Rockets, I told you about their talent. You know, they have the best talent in the world on one team. Like, you literally got Jalen Green, you got Şengün, you got the vets and Brooks and Van Vliet, you got Cam Whitmore, Amen Thompson, Jabari Smith Jr., you got Steven Adams, you got, this team could go 15 deep if they wanted to. I think I said Tari Eason, Jeff Green, Jock Landale. This is a deep-ass team. Reed Shepherd, too, if they let him play. But high-key, he probably ain't going to make it to the playoffs. But, yeah, man, that would be a tough series for the Clippers, for sure. But Lakers and Timberwolves, I already said that I don't see the Lakers winning that series, even with ref help. Because who's going to stop Ant-Man? LeBron can't stop him. Luka Doncic can't stop him. And then the X factor of that series is definitely going to be Julius Randle. Julius Randle, you know, needs to redeem himself. He hasn't had landmark playoff performances. He's usually been inconsistent throughout the playoffs in his history. So he's looking to redeem himself. The Wolves have the defense to keep up with the Lakers and stop them. But will they is the question. You know, LeBron, you know, Luka was just in the finals last year. And they beat that same Timberwolves team. You know. Luka's not no slouch. We're not saying that. And LeBron ain't either. I mean, he a 4-time champion. So, It's just the battle of the experienced, I guess. And Nuggets and Warriors. Ooh, talk about 7. Oh, yeah. That is definitely going 7. I don't even know who I would pick in that motherfucker. That's tough. Again, there's a scenario where both these teams could win. But that would be a fun series. Definitely betting all overs on that motherfucker. Big facts. I don't know, but I think that's automatically a 7-game series. You could bet you could bet the rent money on that one, buddy. That's gonna go 7. Big facts. But yeah, these standings, it's gonna be real entertaining. Real entertaining. It's King Known Uncensored. NBA Music Talk. I'm gone.